Kathy was a children's book illustrator and a fairly successful one. She collaborated with a couple of other women who wrote children's books. But she always was, of course, an artist herself. And when she finally moved into the Beechwood Canyon area, she started to do that side of her art, the expression of art in oils and in pastels and drawings and so forth.
It's amazing how much she really got just from looking out of her window at her studio of Beechwood Canyon.
And her imagination.
And her imagination. But, you know, you can recognize it. I mean, I recognize this one over here that says view from the studio. That's Rockcliffe Drive. And it's a pretty accurate depiction of what the houses are. It's impressionistic. And then as she got further into her painting, she started becoming more abstract. So this is really beautiful, Joanne. You bought this from Kathleen?
I actually bought it from her daughter, Chris, when Chris was selling off all of Kathleen's possessions that she didn't take to Italy. And Kathleen had already relocated to Tuscany. So I said to Chris, I'll buy it from you for half price, and I'll give the other half to Kathleen in person when she signs it in Tuscany, because it wasn't signed.
This was the second piece of Kathy's art that I purchased, and it's kind of a amalgamation of things. It's a painting along with a decoupage, and it's got some pastel worked in on torn paper. So these three are some of Kathy's earlier works. They're drawings with watercolor, and it was obviously depictions of houses near pools. And then the centerpiece here is inspired by a European trip that she took.
On paper, oil pen, in 1996. Is that 96 or 90?
So that's oil stick that she used on that.
Uh-huh. Right next to you, this one is like a church.
And they're abstracts.
So here, these are again your collection, Steve?
Yeah, these are 4 paintings of the same size, and the series was called Farmhouse. Where she got her inspiration for these is kind of up in the air. It could be European, it could also be here, because there's some similarities to her Beechwood stuff. But since it says Farmhouse, it's probably from her European trips. There's 4 of them. When she took off for Italy, she took 2 dogs, 2 cats, and her paints and brushes and things to create, but she didn't bring her canvases. Kathy lived in a 500-year-old farmhouse. It was the manager of the estate's house. It had a beautiful view of olive tree orchard, as well as an 11th century church that had been converted into a private residence further down the hill. So she looked down the hill at all of these wonderful nature and the hills and these old, very old Italian structures. And her outdoor dining area, which was under a large tree with an apron over the top of canopy of leaves and branches and all to shelter the table and the chairs, and you could sit out and eat breakfast and lunch and dinner. It was just grand.
So what is this one we're looking at that was in your garage?
This is called January '94 Notre Dame. Number 1. This is her
Number
first. 1. Is this like the pyramid in the what's his face in Paris?
Oh, at the Pompidou? The Louvre?
The Louvre pyramid.
Uh-huh.
I visualize it as Venice, Italy. England looks like.
It looks like the House of Parliament. But
I was going to say it looked parliamentary.
Parliament. It says on the back. It's Parliament.
You know, her stuff is so dimensional.
So we have these 2 from our neighbor Jean Clyde Mason, who passed away, and they're wonderful. They're not catalogs, are they? They're just picture books of her paintings.
Yeah, artist rendering books of her paintings.
They were probably used in the gallery in San Francisco.